Hello and welcome to Reviews. As always, I'm Plume Noir and I am here in the lab. You can hear the machines and everything going, you hear the switches and that. Anyway, it's a long day. It is now technically Friday. I want to have this out Thursday, but it's been kind of a hard day at work today. It's been kind of an emergency going on, so I was only able to sneak away late. In fact, I should have left by now, but that's how rough it's been. But you don't care about that. I figured I'd take a few minutes, unwind with something a little bit more upbeat. You know, something that probably won't tick me off. Because my day has already been bad enough as it is. And you know what? That's this book. Yeah, I've been kind of hesitant on this book. You know, sometimes I think that they're not quite sure where they're going. It's still lighthearted. Sometimes it borders between stupid and sometimes goofy. And this issue of the Wonder Comics, I think that this series is the best one. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not really sure. It seems like the Wonder comics are in their own little imprint continuity, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, this one I think might be my favorite. And I used to love Young Justice, and you know, when Peter David did the book, and I still haven't. I've got the other issues. I haven't reviewed them. Maybe I should. But anyway, about Wonder Twins, we finally get the introduction of Gleek. As you know, the goofy monkey from the Superfriends cartoon, whose job was usually to carry the bucket that Zan would need to go into when he turned into water. The plucky comic relief. And this issue is kind of a... you find he has a tragic backstory, which is okay. You know, think of like the Red Lantern Dexter. You know, everyone thought he was kind of silly until you find out he had this horrible, horrible backstory. And so, yeah, let's just pop into this. It starts off with Jaina, you know, is in class learning about mythology, specifically Sisyphus, when she meets another person in the class who asks her if she does the morning announcements. And her name is Polymath. Now, at first, I thought, oh, God, are we going to do polymorph? Is that a setup for a joke for that? If it is, it's down the line. Find out that her dad is actually a Nobel Prize winner. Probably doesn't really say what science. You know, comic book science. It could be any of them. So, of course, she says she'll probably end up beating Jaina at the science fair. Asks her if she wants to work on the project, but Jaina has to go to work, which is at the Hall of Justice. And so we see that Zan has ordered his monkey, which of course is Gleek, and Superman is congratulating them. You know, you did great. It's one thing to take down a villain when nobody knows, but you're on their radar now. And yeah, a little joke also about the monkey. He's not a monkey, he's Gleek, and he's my new best friend. You know, you think Superman would be a little bit more interested that they have a blue monkey. So, Jaina's upset, you know, because she asks, you know, Superman, how do you do it? And she points out the fact that we brought Druncula to justice. I love Druncula. But he fell off the wagon, ruined his life, and killed a bunch of hockey fans when he was put into the detox ward. So Superman is congratulating them, and okay, granted, it wasn't their fault. At the end of the previous issue, when they apprehended him, Druncula, that is, and he was put to be imprisoned, he was put into a holding tank, full of basically a detox tank, and he ended up falling off the blood-drinking wagon, the alcohol wagon, drinking all the drunk people's blood. Okay, fine, that's actually not Zan and Jaina's fault. So we get this thing, and the book kind of does this. It has done this throughout the issues. It has these little serious bits, and then goes into lighthearted. You know, Jaina is asking Superman, they're both aliens. You know, how do they handle things on Earth? You know, with all the things that's going wrong and how basically crappy humanity is. And Superman says that the real superpower is seeing everything wrong with this world and somehow not going crazy. And, Jaina says, it's so complicated, isn't it? Superman says, you're going to spoil that monkey. And I couldn't help but think, oh, someone scared that monkey. If you get that reference, you're either old or cool. Probably both. So, but Zan comes up with probably the best line in here. So, kindness is how you save the world. They play Zan off as being kind of a dumbass. But it's that kind of innocent yet wise dumbass. While Jaina, who's portrayed as more intelligent, and Superman, of course, is super smart, and they're really down about all this. Zan's optimism just keeps things going, and he's right. So it's a nice little lesson. So we cut to LexCorp, where the polymath, her father, is trying to tender. Whoops! I just kicked something. Trying to tender his resignation. He says he'll pay him back, but I don't want anything more to do with you. And he says, I have a daughter. I can't raise her in this life. What life? Ooh, you're a corporate scientist? You're a scientist working for a large corporation. It's probably evil. It is Lex. And they make some little jokes about this. But Lex brings up something interesting. LexCorp loaned you $10 million for a personal project, which, according to our contract, becomes due the second you stop working for us. And, of course, Dr. Math says, I don't have that kind of money. I've given you the best years of my life. If anything, you owe me. Well, that's not what our contract says. Lex is right. I mean, as an adult, you got to be honest here. Lex is right. What did they say his first name? Philomath. Yeah, Philomath has entered into a contract with Lex Luthor, of all people, for a personal project, which we see he's doing something. We don't know what exactly his project is. It'll be coming up down the road, I'm sure. But he did sign the contract. For as bad as Lex Luthor can be, he's legally in the right here. So basically, the way to work off his debt is a year or two is to work with the League of Annoyance. As you know, it's where Druncula came from. So we get the Shazam thing, and we get to meet the League again. And we got, of course, a Scrambler from the first issue. I don't remember cell phone Sylvia being there before. But yeah, we got the Maligner, whatever, and Amphetamine. And, of course, they introduce Philo to the rest of the team. And the Praying Mantis, basically the leader, says, next up, does anyone have any updates on their mayhem initiatives? And the Scrambler says, yeah, I got one. There's a fundraising dinner in 2 weeks. $5,000 gets you in. The president is going to be there. Every attendee gets a cold chicken dinner, a photo shop, and a handshake with the president. At which point, I will switch minds with the most powerful man in the world. You get me a ticket to that chicken dinner, and I will get you the United States of America. Praying Mantis says, do we have $5,000, Madam Treasurer? No, and we still have to pay for Druncula's lawyer. And Scrambler starts banging his head on the table as Praying Mantis says, sorry, Scrambler, way to think outside the box, though. Now, Scrambler eventually quits the League of Annoyance because of this. This is a great plan. I mean, things like this have been done, in comics and stuff before, the whole mind switcheroo. But here's what's great about it. He doesn't need the League of Annoyance. He doesn't even really need $5,000. You figure he could work his way up. Go to the guards and, I guess, just hop. Maybe he can only do it one at a time, back and forth. Maybe he can't go from, her to Praying Mantis to someone else, which would be an interesting thing. But you would think that with their talents, they could come up with $5,000 in 2 weeks. I'm sure since they're in connection with Lex Luthor, you figure that maybe they could, $5,000 is nothing to Lex. This is a great plan. And it's played for laughs that it's being dismissed because they don't have $5,000. That's really a shame. So yeah, Scrambler gets disillusioned and evil. There is no good or evil. There's merely change and those who fear it. Let me know when you're ready to stop playing playing games and do something real. So the League of Annoyances found out where Zan and Jaina live, and they're going to go get them. In the meantime, Zan goes to bed, and we see through basically Gleek's dreams and night terrors, he was a circus monkey who was abused. And I'll go through this really quick. You see a little crying monkey. He had a bad past. But yeah, give it a little bit of depth there. And that's when the villains come in, the League of Annoyance. They grab Jaina when they try to get Zan. We got Gleek in there. They try to escape, and for some reason when Jaina when she turns into a boa, they get her into a bag relatively easily. And when Zan comes and saves the day, the praying mantis ends up falling from the ceiling fan on him, knocking him out. So while Jaina is still in the plastic bag, which, since she's turned back into human form, I hope she doesn't suffocate, they're able to capture them both and take them back to the League of Annoyances headquarters, where they're going to put them in a plastic shredder. And then it becomes Gleek to the rescue. He has to overcome his fears, his traumatic past, his PTSD, overcome all that, this horrible circus where he was abused, in order to save them. And of course, since the League of Annoyances in like an abandoned toy shop, there is one of those little bikes for him to ride, just like he did in the circus. So yeah, you can pretty much see where this is going. This issue it's actually not bad. It really isn't. It's maybe I'm just kind of my levels are getting low. Maybe it's just this today. I'm just in such a bad mood that even something like this seems better. But you know what? What we see with Gleek, he has a traumatic past, and he has space monkey PTSD, and he overcomes it. He overcomes it to be a hero. This joke of a character from Superfriends that was meant as comic relief is more relatable, more interesting than a lot of the current comic characters right now. More interesting than, say, I just did Captain Marvel last night. What Carol Danvers is now, even when they had the chance with her and Rogue, they kind of missed that, that overcoming the past. They kind of did it, but it was set up, kind of lousy, to be honest, and is kind of silly, because basically she's just taken over Rogue, kind of a reversal. But here we have a character that's facing up to his fears. He's not super strong, I guess he just has regular monkey strength, maybe a space monkey strength, I don't know. And yeah, he is a hero. How about that? The monkey is a better character. I gotta say it again. The space monkey is a better character than a lot of the current books out there right now. Think about that. That's the state of our industry, and people wonder why the comics industry, the American comics industry, is going so poorly, which is kind of a setup for the series that's coming up here soon, so keep an eye for that. It's a multi-parter. So anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Not bad. This book was kind of off to a shaky start. It still has some mood issues. It gets all kind of, dark, and navel gazing with Superman and Jaina here. And the series seems to be doing that. It has these kind of deep, I kind of want to say deep thought, reflective moments, and then it gets silly. It's almost like, hey, we need to have this. Let's get this out of the way, and then we'll go into the rest of the story. Like the first issue had kind of the identity politics thing in the beginning with their home planet, but it put it in the beginning. It's like, okay, we got that out of the way. I think the editors have stopped reading. the people who, we need to talk about this on Twitter, they've stopped reading. We got it in the first 5 pages. It'll go through to the previews, and people won't read past the previews. And then we'll go in another direction. I kind of think that's what they're doing with this book. So, anyway, that's it. What am I going to rate this? I'm 1 o'clock. I am going to go 1 o'clock on this book. Only for the reason that it could have been really bad. It could have been really bad, but they, for lack of a better word, humanized Gleek and made him a sympathetic character. Made him a character you can sympathize with. And that's the problem with a lot of the comic characters these days. You can't sympathize with them. But here's a character, and to be honest, he's more sympathetic than the Wonder Twins. We got the goofy one and the smart but shy one. And that's pretty much their personalities right now, so. But anyway, like I said, go 1 o'clock on this one, and I'm going to call it a night. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.